America's Army 3 was an amazing FPS. It was incredibly detailed, incredibly realistic, and incredibly fun. When America's Army 2 came out, everyone was very happy about how their favorite game had gotten a facelift, as well as some improved and refined game mechanics. However, one major gripe that both the original game and its sequel had was that it was rather difficult to get into, especially for newcomers into the tactical FPS genre. America's Army 3 fixes all that by streamlining almost everything, making the game very approachable to newcomers to tactical FPSs. It also includes some very cool and very important new game mechanics and, of course, the Goliath that is the Unreal 3 engine. Unless you've been living under a rock, you probably know that the Unreal 3 engine is the best looking engine behind the CryEngine 2. This means the following: high dynamic range lighting, realistic physics, including bullet drop, which I'll get into more later, dynamic shadows, very pretty shaders, high quality models, meshes, and textures. In simpler terms, America's Army 3 looks great, but it has two major flaws. First off, there's no anti-aliasing, so the edges of the objects in the game, when viewed from up close anyways, look slightly pixelated, and that the game is not well optimized as most other Unreal 3 engine based games, which means it is a real system hog. An integrated graphics card won't exactly cut it here, folks. Despite those two issues, however, America's Army 3 is the best looking F2P game released right now. America's Army 3 is all about team-based tactical FPS action. After creating an account and a character with a variety of selectable faces at your disposal, you hop into an online server and start playing. Unlike previous installments, training isn't required to play, but is highly recommended, as it is the best way to learn how exactly to play the game. The Mount Shoot House is particularly useful, drilling you on how to quickly spot and eliminate enemies. The game sounds even better than it looks, with weapon sounds recorded from the actual guns they are meant to represent. Not only do the guns sound very convincing, but they also sound powerful and dangerous, very important in any online shooter. As I've said in the beginning of this review, the controls for America's Army 3 are streamlined to the point that if you are already familiar with realistic or semi-realistic first-person shooters, then you'll be right at home here. Some notable improvements are that the reload key now serves double as an unjamming key, the ability to hold your breath while looking down the sights of your weapon, the ability to fire from the hip with an optional crosshair, and the removal of jumping completely, removing any notion of bunny hopping. Instead of jumping, you were given the ability to vault or mantle over short fences and walls, removing any actual need for jumping anyways. You were also given the ability to combat slide, which lets you slide quickly into a crouching position after a sprint, letting you get into cover quickly and easily, and efficiently. Guns now have realistic bullet dropping as well. Depending on the distance between you and the target you aim for, bullets may drop slightly due to the game's realistic ballistics. The first aid mechanics have also been improved. By default, everyone now has the ability to heal wounded teammates. Instead of using up bandages to heal every part of the body, you get to heal bleeding teammates as much as you like. The catch is that it takes a little longer to do so, and the game tells you exactly where your teammate was hit and what exactly you're treating. You can also resuscitate incapacitated teammates by giving them proper treatment in accordance to their condition, the knowledge of which can be obtained from the game's medical course. The objectives and objective priority in America's Army 3 are a little bit different than before. In America's Army 3, you are given the rules of engagement, which means that you must do what you can in order to accomplish objectives, with incapacitating enemies as a side objective. That's right, similar to Gears of War, depending on how and where you shoot an enemy, he will become incapacitated. If this occurs, you must cuff him in order for the enemy to revive him, not to revive him. If you simply kill him while he's incapacitated, you will have broken the rules of engagement and receive a penalty. America's Army 3 lets you wield various weapons, and depending on what special training missions you've completed, it lets you outfit them with different modifications. There's only one modification as of yet, that being a scope, and only 3 gun types: the M16 with a grenade launcher if you choose a Grenadier class, the M4 carbine, and the SAW. You can't blame the development team, though. America's Army has been rushed due to the Army pushing the game team to release it early. This means that the game doesn't have too many maps, and in fact it only has about 6. has quite some bugs, and as I've said before, only 3 guns and 1 attachment. Every diamond has its rough edges, and America's Army 3 is no exception. There are a lot of animation-related bugs with the game that have yet to be fixed. However, connection-related issues are all patched up, so any server problems players had before are gone. The game's community is different from most free-to-play games. Instead of the traditional 10 to 12-year-olds complaining on how you shoot them in the face so well, you have mostly adults who play the game for the sake of actually playing the game, and they only really talk about the current situation of a match. This is a good thing, as communication is key to playing any tactical shooter. There are no hackers to speak of in America's Army 3. It's a hacking-free game, and if there are any hackers that I might have missed, they won't be there for long. Each server has its own administrator who watches over the servers and can easily kick them out of any match. You also have a vote kick system that can really be helpful in situations when the administrator is not present. America's Army 3 is an incredible game. It is a perfect example of how good graphics, good gameplay, fair gameplay, and a good community can really make the best game even better. America's Army 3 gets a 10 out of 10 in my brand new rating system, and it earns my utter recommendation. There might be a few bugs, but they are easily overlookable, as America's Army 3 is an experience that you won't soon forget, if you have the hardware to run it accordingly. This has been yet another review by the Free-to-Play Master. Have a happy hunting out there, guys. You own some noobs for me, would ya?